I'm back. It's been a little while, but I'm back. Crazy work schedule. So today, I wanted to talk about watches. About 6 months ago, I started looking for a good watch. And I've had tons of different watches. I've had very expensive watches. I even had the original Samsung. I don't know if you guys ever seen this. The original Samsung watch, the original smartwatch. So yes, I've had them all. I've had the one after this, and then I had the first kind of new version of the Galaxy Watch. So I've had a ton of them. Now, my Galaxy Watches all broke. They just malfunctioned. Something happened. Things just went wrong. So after about a year or two, they would just kind of die. So I ended up having to buy new stuff. So I didn't want to deal with that stuff anymore. So I was on the lookout for a new watch, and I think it's the perfect watch for me. So let's get into it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I could really use your help. We're trying to monetize the channel, so we got to hit at least 1,000 subscribers. Also, hit the like button. It really helps with the algorithms and helps me kind of get up there, get some more viewers. So I appreciate it. Enjoy the video. All right, so I mentioned I was on the lookout. When I want something, I tend to do a lot of research on stuff, so I started really looking at things. Now, I know you guys know what watch I picked up because of the title, but I'll tell you guys how I got there. So, yes, I went with a Garmin. Very simple Garmin watch. Not much to it. Pretty simple, but it had everything I was looking for in a watch. And nothing more. So I mentioned to you guys that I actually had a ton of different Samsung watches. I even had the smaller version of them, just because these kept breaking. So I thought maybe the smaller version would work longer, be better. I was wrong. They didn't. They died after a few months, or about a year and a half or so. That's about as long as the longest Samsung watch lasted me. A year and a half. They broke. Things will happen to them. They just didn't last. Yes, I had my regular watches. I could always go back to those, but I wanted something that kind of kept track of my steps, and I wanted something that can also track my heartbeat. There was a point where I went to the doctor and they said I had high blood pressure, so I decided I needed a watch to kind of track that. So I started looking for stuff, and I did not want a Samsung watch. Now, me being me, of course, G-Shock was something that I was looking at. Even though they really don't watch your heart rate, I figured it's okay. Now I'm in the mood to just buy a nice watch. So let's look at some G-Shocks. So this G-Shock is the one I originally started looking at, or one just like it, in a very similar price range. These are about $900 to $1,000, and I loved it. I love the way it looked. It looks great. It did nothing that I wanted, though. It did not check heart rates. It just did nothing. So I couldn't check my calls or anything like that with it. It's just a very simple, basic watch. And I thought, I'm not going to spend $900 on this basic watch. So I decided to take a look at the cheaper Garmin's. I'm sorry, G-Shocks. About $100. Still doesn't check the heart rates. Doesn't keep track of your steps. Some of these watches do actually advertise that they do connect to your phone via Bluetooth, but the only thing you can control is actually alarms. You can set timers. You can do some basic stuff that you normally wouldn't be able to do with a regular watch. So just in my opinion, it's kind of pointless. I don't need it to connect to my phone anymore. It's pointless. So I started looking for other things. And I decided Garmin was kind of neat. So they are digital. So they do, some of them will keep track of your heart rates. They will check steps and all that. So I thought, let's give that a shot. As a matter of fact, some of them actually look like the G-Shock. So I thought, hey, it's perfect. Get a watch that looks like the one that I want, but it does everything I want. So I started looking at those. And that's what I settled for. As a matter of fact, if you look right now, they're about $169. When I bought mine, it was about $140. So the pricing was great. It connected to my phone and it had great apps. So I started looking at that. Then I thought, well, if Garmin's nice, this has GPS as well. Let's see what else they have. So I looked at the Solar. Solar is about $100 more. At the time, it was about $150 to $200 more. That was out of the question because it was just a little too much for another digital watch. And I was just thinking, I'm going to break it. It's going to last me a year. It's pointless. Turns out, I started looking at it, and only this section right here around the actual screen is solar. And I thought, well, I can't really power too much, can it? I think it's just a gimmick. So I ignored it, just decided not to go with it because it's basically the same watch. It does pretty much the same stuff that the other one does at about twice the price, or more than twice the price sometimes. So Garmin Instinct does have GPS, but let me tell you about the GPS. I tried it once. Now they have great apps, so you can actually go on your app, download maps, you can do stuff. It'll keep track of your heart rate, your footsteps. I mean, it does everything. It's really actually kind of neat. As soon as you turn the GPS on this watch, you have about an hour. That's when it dies. That's probably the most annoying part of this watch. The GPS button is actually on the right side. So when you do have it, and if you're lifting weights or something, you do this. Sometimes I will push it by accident. My watch dies an hour later. Great. So not a fan of the GPS, not a fan of the amount of battery that it drains. So if you're thinking you're going to buy this for hiking, probably not. I would not recommend it because you have about an hour, then you have to rush back to your car. You're better off just using your phone, downloading the map and just using your phone. That's what I do. So there you have it. That's what I went with. Now, talking about this watch, let's talk about some of the benefits or the positive sides of it. One, when you're not actually using the GPS, this thing will last me about a month to a month and a half without charging. That is great. You can connect it to your phone. You can get text messages. You can see who's calling you. You can't answer or anything, but you can see who's calling you. It'll track your steps. You can check your heart rate. If you have everything on, it'll probably last you about a month. A month without charging. That's pretty great. One of the things I hated most about having the smartwatches was that you have to charge it every day. At best, you can get away with 2 days. But if you actually used them as a smartwatch, they would die at about the second day. So most of the time, I would be able to get away with a day and a half of actually using it, and then that was it. So having this last me a month, I was a fan. So, and then you could turn things off. It'll last you even a lot longer than that. So you got your dates, your time, really basically everything I wanted, everything I needed. One of the other really neat things about this is it goes pretty well with everything. I mean, if you're dressing up, this is a pretty standard watch for guys to have. So nobody really sees it as a bad or ugly looking watch, even though it is basically a rubber. It looks rubber. It looks good with everything. You can take it out to the gym. It doesn't look strange or awkward. You can go hiking or outdoors with it. It doesn't look strange or awkward. It just works with everything. So it can actually be your literally everyday watch. You can set it to give you little warnings like, hey, you've been sitting here too long. Time to get up and stretch, just like the Apple Watch and the Samsung Galaxy Watch does. Recently, they just came out with this, the Garmin 2. Garmin 2 is $350. That's roughly a little more than twice what the other one, the original one, cost. So I thought, well, it must be worth it. I've done some digging. Maybe you guys can help me with this, but I have done some digging, and it looks like it still has the special connector. So you can't just use a regular USB, which is one of the negative sides of this watch. The only difference I've seen is that it is a little more waterproof. And the other thing is there are a few more options from what I understand with colors, like the colors that are available. You can see here, they actually highlighted waterproof because that's the main difference. I've never had an issue with water on this. I've used it in pools. I've used it in rivers and you name it. I've been in lots of water and never had any issues. So I don't think there's a reason to pay $350 for this watch. The original one works great. So if you're looking for a good watch, I do like this one. I like it. Simple, does everything you need it. And just before this video, it was completely dead because I just hadn't charged it in 2 months. I plugged it in for 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and I got 3 out of 4 bars of battery. So that should last me. If I didn't want to plug it in anymore, that could last me half a month, maybe a month. So I'm a big fan. Anyways, thanks for watching. Just wanted to make this quick, short video and let you guys know I'm back. Things are picking up again at work, so I'll try not to leave you guys hanging for too long. I do have another review coming, but the next one is actually going to be on dating apps. I started talking to a friend of mine, and he got onto a dating app and just kind of started telling me all about it, and I thought, I got to check this out. So I logged in, made an account, logged in, and what a disaster. It's hilarious. So I thought, why don't we share that? So next video, we're going to be talking about dating apps and kind of just going through them, going through profiles and seeing what's out there. All right. We'll see you guys later. Like and subscribe.